Good evening.
Good evening. Situation in D.C. right now, I mean, how problematic is it for you in terms of being labeled consistently Republican?
You know, being labeled by my opponent, I mean, it's the same old broken story. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. I have called, even long before I was a candidate, most everything that the Tea Party does is crap. I continue to believe that. Quite honestly, for Bill, it's Bill de Blasio, it's the same old broken story. All he wants to do is talk about and lie about who I am, and not talk about policies, not talk about issues that are a concern of the people of the city of New York. I would have hoped that this debate would have been about today what the vision is for the city of New York. In this middle of this debate, he says he loves the NYPD, and the next answer he slams the NYPD. Quite honestly, you know, he's your classic politician who says one thing one minute, says something the next minute. And the fact of the matter is New Yorkers deserve better than that. They absolutely deserve to make sure that they know where his vision is for the future. I think he's going to throw us backwards in public safety. He has no record whatsoever. He flip-flops on what he says about the NYPD. I couldn't disagree with him more about Ray Kelly. I couldn't disagree with him more about what Judge Scheindlin did. Judge Scheindlin did not end stop, question, and frisk. She said it could continue. In spite of what he said there. Look, he's got to get his facts straight. He's got to stop lying about me. I'm not a member of the Tea Party. I never have been, and I don't believe in what they do. The fact of the matter is, I will go meet with anybody. I met with the Tea Party. I met with the Reverend Sharpton. Anybody who invites me to sit down, I will sit down with them and talk to them. Because I want to be the mayor of all New York, not just part of New York, not just the tale of two cities. I want this to be one city, which we work together moving forward to the next level.
Joe, how do you think you did tonight? Did you get out the message that you wanted to get out in this format?
I've got some of my message out. I'll get all of it out as time goes on. Look, I actually think I got enough of my message out to know that the people of New York know what my vision is for the future of the city of New York. It is one of change. It's not about a continuation of the policies. I actually think we need to open up our government. It's been too closed. We need a participatory government. We need to make sure that people get jobs. I actually believe the only way to deal with income inequality, the only way that's known throughout the history of mankind, is that we need to create jobs so those who are unemployed can get employed, those who are underemployed can get good paying jobs, career-related jobs. Most importantly, we need to continue. When Bill de Blasio talks about what he wants to do about dealing with income inequality, he's talking about the social safety net. Social safety net is absolutely needed, and I will strengthen it. But it doesn't deal with the core issue of income inequality, getting people jobs. Look, it's not like me to make a quote like this, but a man in Italy last week says it's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. And without a job, there is no dignity. And I thank Pope Francis for saying it. Quite honestly, it's amazing to me that he and I are on the same level. All New Yorkers need a job. And that's how we get dignity. That's how we deal with income inequality.
To what extent do you think debates can give you an opportunity to get a bump up in your poll numbers and get your message out?
Look, they will have to give me the bump up to go from here because Bill de Blasio, all he wants to do is stay in Park Slope and never leave. It's good to get his vision for the future, which I couldn't hear tonight. My vision for the future about how I want to expand the economy, what I want to do to reform our education system, how we get affordability in the city of New York, and most importantly, what our vision is about public safety. I actually believe I will move it forward with dynamic changes within the police department. And, you know, Bill wants to take us back to an era I don't want to go back to.
Joe, what was your best moment in this debate today?
The entire thing was great. Sorry,
What was the best of a great debate? What was your best moment?
I think my best moment was watching my opponent continue to lie about who I am and what I am. It's just amazing to me that he is your typical classic political hack who doesn't know what to do when he's in a debate and talking about issues. I really feel sorry for New Yorkers who are watching tonight. They turned on Channel 7 to be able to talk about our visions for the future of the city of New York. We didn't hear anything from Bill. We heard no specific plans from Bill. It's really unfortunate. What we need to do in our debates going forward is make sure that we talk about what we will do as mayor.
Can
So
you
you
forward
sounded
was a
like
game
you were on
changer
the.
for you?
I'm sorry.
Do you feel like tonight was a game changer for you? Begin to turn the tide for this?
I hope it was. I think it was. And I'm going to make sure it is.
There was a question about the two of you having worked for two different mayors. Do you think that that's instructive for voters to look at the two mayors who you work for?
Look, what's important is I have worked in a bipartisan basis. I work for a Republican mayor. I work for a Democratic governor. My entire life has been about bringing people together, not dividing them, not talking about a tale of two cities, but making sure that we work together. I was known when I was in City Hall as the guy who compromised on all of the problems that we had in city government. People came to me, it's well documented, you know, whenever there was a problem, I was brought in to make sure that we can find a common sense resolution. That's what I'm known for. That's what I will continue to do when I'm mayor.
You said at one point that the city would probably be less safe, or you think it would be less safe with de Blasio as mayor because he's untested. Could you just expand on that a little more? Tell us like what you're thinking and.
Look. Friday night, he's sitting with Alec Baldwin, and Alec Baldwin starts bloviating about his theories of crime and criminal justice. And he basically said he thought that stop, question, and frisk was a lazy tactic. You know, you cannot describe a tactic as lazy. You can only describe individuals. That's why I said that Bill de Blasio's agreeing with him has no understanding about how important it is that we continue this tactic, but we also have to make sure we work with the communities so that they understand what we need to do. Here's what I know about criminal justice in the city of New York. We need to always have a dynamic strategy. It's one that needs to change. It's one that needs to evolve. We need to stay ahead, as we have for the last 20 years, to stay ahead of the criminal element in this city. That's how crime has gone down. That's how crime will continue to go down. He has not shown one iota of an ability to understand that.
Joe, Bill hit you several times on your Tea Party or Staten Island Tea Party meeting. Just now he said the company you keep matters. Do you have a response?
Look, I've said before, I'm sorry you weren't, you must not have been here when I talked about that a second ago. Look, I have never been part of the Tea Party. I'm not part of what they do. Quite honestly, I vehemently disagree with the Republican Party on my social views. You know, it's a typical, classic career politician not wanting to talk about the facts, but lying about me and who my friends and what I believe. Look, you know, he kept harping and harping and harping when he had nothing better to say. All he did was attack me. That's the sign of someone who doesn't have a vision for the city of New York. That's the sign of someone who doesn't understand that we need to move forward. We need to change. Talking about me and not talking about what he wants to do, I think is emblematic of his vacuous thinking.
You said Mr. de Blasio is spending a lot of time in Park Slope. Do you personally feel like you need to get substantially more aggressive at this point to close that gap in the polls?
I have been consistently aggressive. For those reporters, I've never seen you at a press conference, but those who are there who cover me know that every day I'm on the attack. I do talk about it. Come on the road with me and you'll see it and you'll be able to report it.
Joe, you seem to be on the defense most of the time tonight. Do you think that you did enough to define
I don't think I
yourself?
was on the defensive at all. I was not on the defensive. I don't understand why he's saying that.
You just said
I was
that
on the
de Blasio
offensive.
spent the entire time throwing these attacks at you.
Right, but he threw the attacks at me, but I wasn't going to bite at it. I was going to talk about my vision for the future. You know, he made these responses because he had to find 1 minute of time to answer questions, half of which he talked about who I am and what I'm not. He kept lying about who I am and not talking about his vision for the future. I talked about the vision for the future. I was not defensive in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't going to take the bait. I wasn't going to go into his small thinking way of looking at things. I wanted to talk to the people of the city of New York who are listening tonight about the future and what I will do and how I will change the future and make it a better place for all of us. Make it a city that's affordable, lowering our cost of living, making sure it continues to be safe and we don't go backwards. That's what I was doing. So, Jill, I really don't understand the question because I was not on the defensive.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. What's more offensive to you? Being a Red Sox
Sally
fan?
not at the New York Post.
Thank you. Yes.
That's not offensive.
It's so offensive. Being a Red Sox fan or changing your allegiance to the baseball team?
It's again a silly question. He grew up in Boston. We all know he grew up in Boston. He likes the Red Sox. I like the Yankees. You know, it is what it is. I think it's one of those inconsequential questions that it was embarrassing to get the question from Bill Ritter. It's almost embarrassing to get it from you as well. It's not important. It's not important to the future of the city of New York. It's not. Let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about crime. Let's talk about anything that really has an impact on the city of New York. And don't you feel sorry for Met fans tonight?
Joe, can I just ask you one more question on policy? You mentioned your Fresh Direct, Bill de Blasio not supporting that. He said it was, you bringing that up was you'd never seen a corporate subsidy you didn't like.
I have seen corporate subsidies I didn't like, but there's no reason to play into his silliness. The fact of the matter is our corporate subsidies need to have clawback provisions. They promise to have 1,000 jobs. If they don't have 1,000 jobs, they got to pay back the money. And that's the important thing. One of the things we don't see from the Bloomberg administration is the other side of the equation. You know, for every debit, there's a credit. What we see is what we're giving. What we don't see is what we're getting in return. How much income taxes will be paid by the 1,000 new workers? What will be the increase in the amount of sales tax that's paid? And one thing I didn't have time to talk about as well is that Fresh Direct has also decided, in connection with moving, that they will now start taking food stamps, which they hadn't done before. It's going to open up for a lot of people an opportunity to get fresh produce that they couldn't necessarily have and delivered right to their door using their EBT card. Look, that's good social corporate responsibility. But what we don't see coming out of the administration that you will see when I do deals as mayor is what are we getting in return? I do believe that, you know, any money you give a corporation, there needs to be a return on investment. If it's not a positive return on investment, we're not going to do it. And if they don't follow through on what they promise to do, we will take that money back. Plain and simple.
You talked about the fact that you thought that any officers that racially profile should be fined. How do you go about that process? Why hasn't that ever been done? Is it legal to do that?
Of course it's legal to do that. If they're convicted of racial profiling, it's a felony. I don't know why they haven't been prosecuted because, as far as I can tell, none of them have been charged with it. There's all this hyperbole out there that they've been doing it. The fact is, if it happens, they should be charged, and I've been saying this consistently all throughout both the primary and the debate. Look, if you break the law, you need to be prosecuted. I don't care if you're a cop or a man on the street or myself. You need to be prosecuted if you violate someone's civil rights.
So whose fault is it that nobody has been charged?
I don't know the answer to that. You might want to address it to the district attorneys. You might want to address it to the people who claim that they have been racially profiled.
Have you found Upper East Side Democrats responsive to your stance on the transfer station?
They haven't. Thanks.
Thank you.